Doctors don't actually keep you healthy. You spend 12 minutes a year with the person responsible for your health for 12 minutes, once or twice a year if you're lucky. So who's in charge of the other 8,748 hours? You are. And most of you are failing at it, not because you don't care, but because nobody's talking to you in between. Your phone knows what show to recommend after 3 hours on Netflix. Your doctor doesn't know if you took your pills yesterday. That's backwards. So here's a real question. What if the biggest breakthrough in healthcare isn't a new drug? What if it's just remembering to text you at the right moment in the right way before you forget who you're trying to become? Welcome to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. In this episode, you'll learn how AI is quietly rebuilding the space between doctor's visits, why one-size-fits-all reminders don't work on real humans, and how founders can apply the same psychology to build products that people actually want to stick with. This one's for any founder building something that requires real behavior change from real, distracted, forgetful humans. My guest is Marten Haring, CEO of Lirio. Lirio uses AI-powered precision nudging to help healthcare companies get patients to actually follow through on the care that's keeping them alive. If this episode is hitting you right now, don't just sit on the inside. Go plant it somewhere it'll grow at aiforfounders.co. The newsletter is where the sharpest founder conversations get distilled down to the parts you actually use this week. Think of it as your own weekly nudge. And hey, if this show has been useful, please leave a review on the podcast player. It's basically a free nudge for someone else's algorithm to find us. And let's talk about the one thing that's actually going to grow your business long term. Not another ad platform where you're renting by the click, it's your email list. Because here's the truth, platforms change the rules overnight. Algorithms bury your reach, but your email list is yours forever. That's where Inbox Alchemy comes in, the #1 distribution motion for founders who are done building on rented land. They grow your list with real targeted subscribers guaranteed. They write you a weekly, professionally crafted newsletter that builds your personal brand while you're busy running your company. And they open doors to partnership opportunities most founders never even knew exist. Owning your audience isn't a nice to have anymore, it's survival. So stop feeding the algorithm and start building something that's actually yours. Head to inboxalchemy.co and let them turn your inbox into your best growth channel. All right, we're rolling. Marten, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely my pleasure. Now, health tech is a major theme on this show, largely because of all the amazing opportunities that are available to us, both with AI, but with new therapies. So the audience is very well accustomed to be talking about healthcare and technology. And that's what kind of gets me fired up for this conversation. So let's just establish early on Lirio. This is your company. So kind of give us an introduction to Lirio, what you do and who you do it for.
We're a band of amazing people, scientists, engineers, solving a very important problem for healthcare, which is how do we help support people change their behavior. We do that through a combination of science and technology, but the solution that we build is called precision nudging. And it's really built on this idea that if you truly want to understand what motivates people and what is hard for them to make better choices for their health, you really need to take a deeply personal approach to understanding who they are and communicating with them, and ultimately nudging them to make better choices. And so that's our company. Who we do it for is obviously ultimately for the consumers, for the patient, for the members of health plans, et cetera. It's for the individuals who we want to help through our mission. Of course, we have to make money. And you can either go direct to consumer in this business, or you go in a more of a B2B model. And so we're a B2B to C shop, and our clients tend to be large providers, health systems. They tend to be health plans or health insurance companies. They tend to be retail pharmacy companies and even life sciences companies. And not just in the US, but we really look at a global market. Starting to do business in Europe, the Middle East, and Japan.
Cool. Yeah. Precision nudging. That sounds like what my wife does when I'm on my 4th glass of wine.
You know, I have heard that story before, and it has sometimes been called precision shoving or nagging. I will state up front for your audience that, you know, if you want an automated version of your spouse, we cannot help you. We are here to help you, Ryan. We want to understand you and help you better, which is not always the case in these other
Yeah,
scenarios.
I love it. And I will definitely Mrs. Estes. She's working on it on behalf of Monday morning Ryan, Sunday night Ryan, he's on his own,
But we're here for you.
Right. So let's get into it a little bit. Changing human behavior is radically difficult. So what are some of the behaviors you're looking to help?
So that varies, of course, based on our clients. If you think about health systems, especially in the U.S., they're of course focused on behaviors and changing patient behaviors that align with various reimbursement schemes. And so they're looking to close gaps in care, getting the patient populations that they're responsible for to make sure they get their preventative care, whether those are mandatory suggested cancer screenings, whether they're well visits, vaccinations, et cetera. You also have a huge reimbursement flow towards patients with chronic conditions and helping them manage those chronic conditions. And behaviors can be more complex, which is how do I really help patients with diabetes lower their A1C levels? And the behaviors there are a combination of actually on a regular basis seeing your clinician, taking your medications. In the case of certain chronic conditions, there are other at-home behaviors like measuring your blood pressure on a regular basis if you're hypertension. So the types of behaviors will vary based on the objectives of our clients and how they want to drive improved health outcomes. Now, when you go to other countries, sometimes it's a little bit more nebulous. It could be, how do we reduce wait times? How do we think about addressing inequality? And so, it depends a little bit on the client. It depends a little bit on the country. But the great thing about our technology is that we haven't built or trained our AI models on specific behaviors. We're really trying to take more of that holistic approach, trying to understand the person, and then trying to influence a variety of choices that they can make every day.
Great. So, and then there's a B2B to C. So basically you're working with hospitals and doctors and they're making recommendations. So I know from conversations I've had on the show before that kind of like, cognitive decline, getting folks to take their medications regularly is very, very difficult because they just simply forget. So this would be a situation where the doctor's like, hey, you got to use Lirio. And then on a daily basis, perhaps it's going to just ping you when the right time is to take the right medications. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
Yeah. So a couple of thoughts on that. So in your specific example, we might even want to extend the nudging to other caregivers. You may have a relative that is part of your care team and nudging them to help them remind, their loved one, for example, to take their medication could be a way of getting around, the cognitive decline aspect of things. But yes, we would simply train our system to understand what types of nudges are, any given patient eligible for. And then we're really, through interacting with them, learning what is the most effective way to package those nudges. So for us, a nudge could be an email or text message. It could be a notification in an app if that's relevant. But sometimes the time of day and the choice of modality actually is going to impact the efficacy of the nudge, right? Some people respond better to text messages for certain things. Think about yourself, right? If you get a reminder that you have to schedule an appointment for your annual checkup, that's maybe okay to get through a text message. If you're anything like me, if people are trying to pour too much information in a text message, I'm just going to ignore it and treat it as spam. So it might be more effective if you're trying to explain to me what I need to do to prepare for a certain visit if you send me an email or you do that in an app. So the choice of channel, the time of day, but also the content. How do I frame the communication to you? Am I trying to address certain barriers that you may have. You may be very busy, and so trying to explain how important it is to find time of day and to make it really easy for you to schedule that appointment might be more effective for someone who's really busy than someone who doesn't quite understand why this particular visit is important. And so you need to do more education around why this visit matters to their health. So, the content of the communication, the choice of channel, the time of the day, the frequency with which we're communicating to people, all these things impact the efficacy ultimately of whether or not the nudge has the desired impact on the patient.
Love it. Very simple idea,
Yeah.
but so helpful. It's
we are approaching 20% of GDP in the U.S. in terms of healthcare expenditure, and 90% of that, according to the CDC, is all related to patients with chronic conditions, patients with mental health concerns, and a lot of the drivers behind those conditions are you can address with behavior change. So to just think about the enormous amount of attention we're putting on healthcare, all the policy changes, all of the new innovation that's coming out. At the end of the day, the patient themselves are the most underutilized resource if you really want to make an impact on their health and you want to drive down cost.
Yeah. Well, and, when I'm thinking about products and building products, I am loath to make somebody download something and create an account. Just because personally, it drives me absolutely insane. Every single tool in my house, every utility, everything has its own app. The TV's got its own app. The stereo's got an app. The humidifier's got an app. It's just unbelievable. So I love the consideration that you built in, which is to say, hey, we can put this into a text message, into your email address. Just meet me where I'm already at, and the efficacy is going to be huge.
It's so important. It's important to the consumer. It's also a really important consideration for our clients, the provider or the health plan, et cetera, because they already have an investment in technology and a tech stack that they use. So if you come in and, your solution to their problem, which is to drive patient behavior change, is they have to add more stuff, that's not always helpful. So if you can make their existing stuff work better, that's a much better value proposition. So we've designed our platform to be that headless platform that integrates and almost acts like this brain orchestrating all outreach to drive better outcomes.
Incredible. And, I'm always interested to hear medical applications for pathology and helping people get better. But what about, for people that aren't sick? I'm thinking about for myself personally, because right here, I have all my supplements on my desk. Here's my vitamin D. I got my omega-3, my fish oils right here from Momentous, our sponsor. Shout out to them. But that's to say that, I don't have cognitive decline. Again, it depends if you're asking Mrs. Estes or not. But if it's not right in front of me, I'm going to forget. And I'll go 3 or 4 days without taking my supplements. So I put them literally right on my desk to give me higher chance. Now, it would be great for me if I could hook up Lirio and it says, at 10:30 in the morning, sends me a little alert, be like, oh, it's time. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'll just go right here and take my supplements.
And the thing is, Ryan, right? We all change over time. The Ryan that's on this podcast today may not be the same Ryan in 6 months from now. You may have something happen to a family member that makes you far more aware and conscious of certain things that previously weren't important to you. And so how do we really track, that change, and how do we change with you and adapt to your needs? Today, it may be lifestyle change choices and supplements. Tomorrow, it may be, going for that colonoscopy that you've put off, right? So, I think that's the critical part, is be personal. I'm just putting you on notice here in case you're going to start asking me tough questions later. I'm going to come back to this.
I already had that done. Thank you very much. And maybe in 6 months, I'm going to start something awesome. Maybe I'll take anabolic steroids and 17 different peptides, and I'm going to get super gigantic, and I'm going to need.
Well, kudos to you for adhering to your recommended screenings.
Yeah, thank you. It was uncomfortable, particularly because the doctor was a really pretty woman. I just was not expecting that, It's like, why?
You know,
Why
the
why
little differences, we joke about the little differences. So, you know, I'm Dutch Canadian living in the US. In the US, they actually put you under when you get your colonoscopy, right? So you may have seen that doctor, you know, right before and when you woke up. But in Canada, you know, they don't put you under. So you are totally aware that there is some sedation going on, but you know, you are aware and awake throughout the procedure. And I have stories about that is not suitable for this podcast.
All right, fitness fans, creatine might be the most studied supplement on the planet, and for years, everybody thought it was just for guys trying to get huge in the gym. And we are, but that's maybe a third of the story. Yes, the physical benefits are real. More strength, better recovery, more output. But what got me taking it every single day is the mental side. Your brain runs on the same energy systems your muscles do, and the research on creatine for focus, memory, and mental fatigue is genuinely impressive. I notice it most on long days, back-to-back calls, deep work in the afternoon, and I'm still not fried by 3 p.m. And I really notice it when I don't take it. Momentous makes pure creatine. NSF certified and third-party tested, no fillers, no junk. I'm on about 10 grams a day. And because it's a daily habit, this is exactly the kind of thing you should have on subscription instead of remembering to reorder. So click the link in the show notes and my code stacks with the standard 25% subscription discount for 35% off your first subscription order, plus 10% off every recurring order after that. If you're taking daily creatine, this is the absolute best. Subscribe once, set it and forget it. Thanks, Momentous. Dudes, let's be honest for a second. If you're in your 40s, it means you're basically invisible. Nobody notices you. Nobody compliments you. You could show up somewhere with a new haircut and a gold medal around your neck and get nothing. So imagine my shock the first day I wore a tailor outfit and I got compliments. I got complimented at the coffee shop and then playing paddle. Then I got complimented at dinner. I checked my pulse to make sure I hadn't died and gone somewhere nicer. It's called Tailor. It's a menswear subscription that uses AI plus professional human stylists to send you outfits that actually work for your body, for your job, and for your life. Not runway stuff, clothes that make you look like the most put together version of you. Apparently a version people can actually see. And here's my favorite part, it's zero maintenance. You wear the clothes, drop them in a prepaid return bag, and Tailor deals with the cleaning and picks your next round. It's like having a stylist, a personal shopper, and a laundry service in one subscription. And if something fits so well you can't let it go, buy it at a discount and it's yours. Visit tailor.style, that's TAELOR.style, and use code Ryan30 for $30 off your first shipment. Less shopping, more living. Amazing. Yeah, you know, and but I mean, I'm joking around a little bit, but it is true. These new therapies, particularly with peptides, like a whole new set of people are getting introduced to injecting themselves, you know, and you need to maintain certain like dosage schedules and things like that because the side effects vary, you know. So there is like this kind of like nudging is appropriate all over the place, you know. I'd be curious, you know, 5 days ago, it seems like OpenAI kind of validated your entire model. I mean, they launched GPT Health. Any take on what that's going to mean for maybe for your company? Do you see them now as like a direct competitor? I haven't dove into what GPT's Health is. I know it connects to your Apple Watch, and then it also like I think you can connect your medical records to it. What's your take on that?
You know, there are so many thoughts around it. So first of all, I'm of course a fan of any solution that is built to try and help people live healthier lives, you know, help them, you know, maybe do some triaging, self-diagnosis, maybe, you know, get some recommendations. You know, knowledge is important, and as long as you have the proper guardrails and you recognize, you know, some of the consequences, the bad consequences, if you're not, you know, applying those guardrails when you're developing software and products, you know, you're mainly focused on the mission of doing good, and certainly doing good but no harm. So when it comes to OpenAI, I think, you know, their big contribution, of course, to the ecosystem is that some of their large language models are making it a little easier for people to find knowledge and to apply that knowledge to their own personal context. And of course, if you take it for what it is, and you can provide some data, consumers bring their own data, to some of these facilities, then you can get help analyzing that data and get some suggestions on where to go and what to do. And so I think that, generally speaking, is helpful. Of course, there are plenty of examples out there of how some of these tools have the opposite impact, right? Where people aren't, using this, but not considering, some of the shortcomings or some of the risks in using these tools. So it's really, you're putting the onus on the consumer to understand what these systems are good at and what they're not so good at. From Lirio's perspective, we are really focused on helping our clients serve their patients better, and so I think the issue for us is not so much do you compete directly with ChatGPT as much as what are the things that health systems need to continue to invest in to help their patients? What are the things that health insurers, health plans need to do to better understand their consumers and not have them go to some of these general purpose models and tools, but rather build a relationship with them so that they can help them in a more personalized and appropriate way, because they have that responsibility for the consumer. So I think it's great that these tools exist. I think there are limitations to what they can do, and certainly when you want to integrate them into clinical workflows and into applications, I think you're going to have a hard time for those models to really remember all of those interactions that have occurred previously. Some of the things that consumers have told you, maybe not sharing their personal data from a wearable or their health record, but other contextual data that is important to take into consideration as you give them recommendations and choices, or how you communicate to them. So I think it's additive, and it has a role to play, but there's still some drawbacks for people just trusting and relying on these systems.
Yeah, because they haven't earned it. It's like privacy, medical privacy, and Sam Altman is saying, like, we're not going to use this data to train the model or to sell advertising. It's like, and how do I know that? Because trust me, bro, it's like Sam Altman seems like a complete psychopath, which is a description from some of the people that have worked closest with him. It's like, wasn't OpenAI supposed to be a nonprofit company that somehow switched and there was no penalty for? I mean,
I'm sure there's a disclaimer somewhere that says, don't trust everything my product and my model tells you. And I hope people read that disclaimer.
Yeah,
but I just came fresh off of the interview with Elon Musk, the other day for the Economist. So I'm still on a high.
Yeah,
yeah. Within 10 years, I'm gardening.
Yeah, that's right. I love Elon's all in. He's like, hey, save money. Why? You don't need to do that. Retirement, don't even worry about it. You're good.
You're good.
Twitter's going to take care of you. Elon. Yeah. I mean, some of the statistics are pretty telling, though. It's, Sam says 300 million people turn to GPT with health-related questions, which is great. I think everyone's done that. You're like, take a picture of some sunburn, be like, how bad is it? Or whatever. But giving them your medical records, it just, I mean, I YOLO'd all my other data.
There used to be a time in enterprise software, in the mid 2000s, where a lot of people's or knowledge worker journeys, research started in a rectangular search box called Google, right? And there were all these concerns that if you use Google or some of the G Suite applications for email and spreadsheets and so on, that all of that data might be used in ways that you would not appreciate or approve of. Yet people just kept going back because it was convenient, it was easy to access. And of course, one of the things that Google did to disrupt, big industries of productivity tools was they gave it away for free most of the time, right? So the trade-off between do I have privacy concerns? Do I have any kind of concerns about risks, or do I just want the convenience for no cost or a low price? And people, chose to do that all day long. So we have a precedent with Google for people, landing in sort of a spot where they are more than happy to use these tools because of those traits. And I think in some ways, many people still use them today as just a Google search on steroids. No matter what people say, I still think, people are using it to gain knowledge and to navigate, lots of information. But I personally think that the more disheartening part about this evolution from a rectangular search box to maybe the current facilities is that because they are so much more natural, and because you've come to trust some of these internet tools that existed previously, this notion of having more natural conversations, maybe even feeling that you're building certain applications and embedding it into your own workflow, makes you just forget that all it is a tool, and that you have to really think about the inputs and outputs to the tool in order to judge whether or not there is risk there, or whether or not you should have any concerns. People are a lot of these companies are making it real easy for us to sort of forget those risks because it's so easy, so convenient, and we're no longer thinking about what it means.
Yeah, I know. And especially, that's like I was saying, I've yielded all my other information. It's like, all right, Sam, you want my financials. It's more convenient to me to pull reports and stuff over revenue and what P&L stuff. Like, you got all my financials, but it's like medical records, because that's, 10, 15 years down the road, they'll still have all that data, and so what they're deciding what to do with it now. And I guess a good question then is kind of like, medical is like notoriously slow moving because compliance is so thorough and privacy is so thorough, so I kind of with Lirio, how have you arranged your tech stack? Which is to say, are you using frontier models? Are you using open source local models? And then kind of what is the guardrails that you put on the product that you're using?
Yeah, so we have a fairly comprehensive risk management framework that we apply with lots of controls across, different processes within the organization. We have a number of accreditation certifications. For example, HIPAA has a certification for high trust. There are other types of certifications, not just in the U.S., but in specific countries, other countries. So you always care about data privacy, security controls, and you have to make sure that those controls are valid in the countries where you do business. Now, I think a new phenomenon, of course, is using some of these AI tools in your own development lifecycle. And so starting using tools like Cursor, using tools like OpenClaw, using tools like Opus or Grok models, right? We experiment with those, but again, we make sure that they fit within our current compliance frameworks and risk controls. And I think we are very cautious in how we're using them, but you have to, because if you don't, the economics of how to write code, build software products, just won't work for you anymore, right? So you just have to do it in a thoughtful way. And I think if you already have built this kind of awareness around security, privacy into the business, this just becomes a natural extension of it. And the good thing is, even within building software for various healthcare type of use cases. There are all sorts of guidelines in how to make sure that you build machine learning models in a way where you can explain how they're built, where you can prove to your clients what kind of rigorous testing that you're doing, how you describe a number of metrics that people care about as they want to understand what kind of governance frameworks that you apply. And I think it becomes a little bit of a cultural sort of phenomenon. It's if you care about these things, they may not always show up as requirements in an RFP. Some clients during the procurement process will make you walk through all of these different controls that you have in place, but sometimes companies don't. And so it's really today still, I think, in large part up to the companies that are developing software, developing technology, to sort of impose the right guardrails and make sure that all the way from the people that they hire to the processes through which they develop and operate systems that impact patients. It's so important that you have the right cultural mindset and leadership mindset, and that you make sure that the people that work in your organization share those values. Because it's easy when people aren't looking to make mistakes, and they can have big consequences.
100%. Let's talk about the company too. Interesting story. So from what I saw, Lirio was founded in 2017. You came on board in 2019 as chief product officer, and then took the reins as CEO in 2021, which we're talking about medical technology here. This is peak COVID. This is 2021. So maybe this is right around when the jabs were introduced. Is that right?
It's a crazy story. So we were founded in 2017, but did a Series A raise really on the business plan that is Lirio today. So there was a little bit of a history prior to the Series A, but Series A really raised money on this idea that we would focus on behavior change, in healthcare, and do that with a as a product company. We started, of course, after the Series A, hiring a team of people that could implement that plan. And so I joined as chief product officer, chief operating officer to really build out sort of the framework from a product perspective, go-to-market perspective for how we would make that idea come to life. We had our MVP product go live, I want to say January 15th or something like that, 2020. So we got a good 6 to 8 weeks of running this product out in the wild before everything shut down. It was crazy. And in many ways, we were fortunate, in terms of our shareholders and the type of support we had during that time. But it was a learn fast, learn quickly on the job experience to step into the CEO seat in 2021 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's always challenges for go to market, but when you're selling like a medical software.
Well, think about it, right? Your technology is meant to drive people to care, right?
Yeah.
Care was closed. Yeah. Unless you had COVID, please stay home. And so not only was that the case for a period of time as various states opened up care, gradually and on a different timetable, but then you were dealing with the backlogs. Then you were dealing with the staffing shortages. And so again, people weren't really eager to, increase volume, right? That was not good timing. So the period that really was a period where we had to be patient, no pun intended, and sort of really wait for our time. Probably was from 21 to 23, bordering on 24, and then it completely flipped. Then it turned out that while all of this was happening in terms of infectious disease management, policy changes, coming to grips with a new reality, et cetera, consumers had been taught, trained that they could stay home and experience and consume products and services, from any context, anywhere. People moved. You no longer had to move, right? Live next to the office. You could, didn't have to go to movie theaters or go to restaurants. You could get everything delivered on your doorstep and experience everything from within, your home. So that whole move from physical to digital impacted healthcare in a huge way. And I think that really helped Lirio, when some of these underlying supply chain issues, were straightened out to a point where now we wanted better digital experiences. Now we were expecting the same level of convenience that we had in other aspects of life. And in steps Lirio, of course, with the ability to really communicate with people digitally and understand personal preferences, et cetera, et cetera. So it worked out in the end, but there were a couple of years there where we truly were having, we're scratching our heads saying, is the product market fit just not there?
Yeah, it's just the worst timing ever. I mean, unbelievable.
Can't make
brilliant.
it up. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, to gut that out, man, that's tough, but bravo, because you were exactly right. It's like people want more touch points from their physicians, because I know I do. And doctors are not communications professionals. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the average time you spend with your doctor in an appointment is 12 minutes, and you have to drive down there. You got to talk to the receptionist, and they're always grumpy, probably for good reason. Then you got to get weighed in, and, it's all these things. And you get 12 minutes with your doctor. And if you have a question, if the doctors are like mine.
And Ryan, 12 minutes, what? Once or twice a year.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? You think of the average Netflix subscriber, they watch 3 hours a day.
Totally.
And that gives me a lot of data to get to know you and understand what you watch, what you like, what you don't like, and how to really tailor that to the next time that I recommend something to you. So it's not just that these moments that matter, are shorter and less frequent. So the way that we have to, and I think there are two things you can do. You can make those moments count better because you have the right technology to really prepare people for those interactions, to make sure that they actually show up for those interactions. But then you have this whole white space of opportunity to say, but we weren't really communicating with you in between those 12-minute visits, whether that was once a year or twice a year. In between, we didn't really talk to you. We didn't communicate with you. And I think this is where you were going. That's just a white space opportunity of saying, hey, Ryan, if I could just check in with you more frequently, if I could just remind you of some of these things that I asked you to do between visits, now I start building a relationship with you. And we know that people that are more engaged will ultimately also change their behavior.
100%. Beautiful. All right, Marten, we're at the time of the podcast. We're going to go to the quantum round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So this is the CEO challenge question of the day, and it is brought to us by our sponsor, Taylor Style. Now, Marten, you might not need this because you seem like a pretty fashionable guy, but Taylor is a subscription for men's fashion. It's an AI stylist mixed with a real person. So basically what they do is they get all your body shape. Like I am kind of like built like a plebeian troll, like I think my people come from like moving rocks, That's what I was good at. I got huge torso, short legs. It's hard to find the right clothes, but Taylor makes it really easy. It's $95 a month. They send you 6 outfits. When you're done with those, you send them back and it just keeps it coming. We love Taylor and they are the sponsor today for the question. Okay, the question is, what's something you believe about the future that most people think is crazy?
That most people think is crazy. Well, I think my worldview is less crazy than Elon Musk's worldview. So I feel a little bit. But let me.
It's pretty high for crazy these days.
I know. So let me just pretend that this is a contrarian point of view. I believe that humans will still be in control in 10 years from now. I believe that we will have bonded together around our common humanity and moved from an era of tribalism and nationalism to more of a global awareness that the human race needs to collaborate to make the planet a better place to live, but more importantly, to make sure that we don't let a few people turn this planet into a planet where we are more like docile Labradors living, at the behest of intelligent robots and systems, but where we still are very much in control, where we still believe in autonomy, in the things that we share, a certain relatedness. So that's going to be my prediction. Is we will have seen what can happen if we don't take charge, and we will resist this machine-driven world.
It's beautiful. I love that. That's a great vision of the future, and it kind of reminds me of that running joke from World Cup, where they're like all the football fans were all getting together and having a great time. They're like, wow, everyone here is so cool. And they're saying that it's like the cousins that reunite because their parents hate each other. And they remember, they're like, oh yeah, we're best friends.
Hey, we all like beer.
Yeah. Oh, you like beer and soccer too? Oh my gosh, we're going to get along great. Nice. Are you running any experiments with AI, or maybe any side quests or side businesses, or what shiny things are you chasing right now aside from Lirio?
I am a proud father of 2 daughters. They are in, one is just wrapped up her bachelor degree. The other one is in her sophomore year. They are both interested in cognitive neuroscience. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if I'm way ahead of myself, so I hope that they're not listening to this podcast. But I'm curious and investigating, not hands-on, but just reading up on this whole brain-computer interface area. And if there is any tie-in back to my worldview here, is like, well, one way in which you can really think about making humans more powerful and really make sure that they stay in charge of their own destiny is to really help alleviate some of their weaknesses. So we can figure out, various biological interfaces, help the body the right way, help deal with, disease, disorders, et cetera. That would be phenomenal. So that's an area that I'm researching that really is adjacent to what Lirio is doing. But I think just given some of the interest in the family, that's just piqued my interest. How would you think about building products, services around, that kind of space? Super interesting.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've seen the videos of those, they're kind of like a mech, like a mech junior, like the mech is where you get into the robot and you control it like this and you can shoot stuff. That's in the Matrix. But they have those in China for I think they're like hiking assists. So you can basically put those on like a knee brace, and it's giving you like a little bit of like boost in your step. And so
yeah, you have invasive and non-invasive interfaces. And some are creepier than others, but these are just. Wouldn't you want that? That's going to be a sponsor on your next podcast, whatever that company is.
Beg for that. It'd be amazing.
Yes,
because I feel like look, Marten, there was a window of time. Okay, I'm 5'10". And when I was probably a junior, the summer between my junior and senior year, I could jump and grab the rim. And I could almost dunk
I'm sure there's footage of that.
And it's because trust me, bro. But I could almost dunk a tennis ball. And I was like, you know what? A couple more weeks, because I was working on it every single day. I was like, all I wanted was to dunk a basketball. And then one day I just stopped doing it, and then I declined. Now I can't dunk. But with the help of some kind of knee brace with robots in it, maybe one day I'll be able to dunk, you know? So if somebody's working on that, dunk knees or something like that, call me up. I'll help promote it, you know? Because then I might have my opportunity to dunk a basketball at last.
We don't need a Michael Jordan humanoid robot dunking. No. We just need Ryan to have his brace.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes. Yeah. And if I was kind of like if I was an autistic psychopath billionaire, that's what I'd be doing. I wouldn't be building rocket ships. I'd be building basketball knees. You know what I mean? It'd be amazing. Marten, amazing. Question. When you close the laptop, who are you? Your father? You have 2 daughters. My kiddos are just a little bit younger than yours. What do you like to do when you're not working?
You know, I love to travel. I would love to say that I love to cook. My wife will very quickly say that is not truthful, bro. So I like to eat. Love to try new dishes. Love to travel. More importantly, in terms of exercise, I just go to the gym, go for a run, just try to stay healthy as much as I can because I sit a lot, and whether that's in the office or on planes. So I try to take a little bit care of my body when I can, but that's pretty much it. A little boring. I can't really say that I'm doing extreme sports of any kind, so I apologize for that.
The robots will have something for you very soon.
Yeah, it's going to be really easy to make me better at things.
Yeah, me too. No kidding. I could start with some better shoes. It'd probably help me. Marten, this has been a blast. I really appreciate it. Everybody check out Lirio.com. I'll have it in the show notes. Of course, you can check it out there. And Marten, where's the best place for people to connect with you personally online?
LinkedIn, probably the best way. And then we'll figure out a way to connect in the physical world. I love meeting people, travel a lot. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Shout out to Music City and Healthcare City. And these days, it's really easy to come to Nashville and have a good time. So if you're not in Nashville, we'll connect on LinkedIn, and hopefully we'll get a chance to meet somewhere else.
Are the Titans going to win some games this year?
Don't get me started. I'll just say Mike Vrabel, A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, and Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a time when the Titans had those 3, but, why not get rid of them?
Why not get rid of those guys? Hey, Cam there had showed some real genius. He had some flashes. We'll see.
There's a Monty Python sketch in here somewhere.
Indeed. Also, shout out to Christina with Soul Comms. Thank you for the assist. Marten, great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good week.
In 3 years, AI fluency will be a baseline expectation for every college grad, not a differentiator. It'll be a requirement. The students getting ahead are the ones building that skill right now, in high school and college, before it becomes table stakes. AInativestudent.com is the program doing that, weekly one-on-one coaching, live cohort sessions, on-demand courses, and the fastest growing AI chat for students, all tailored to your student's specific career path. Pre-med, they learn how AI is transforming diagnostics. Pre-law, they learn legal AI tools. Business, they learn to think like an AI power operator. One flat membership, less than a private tutor, cancel anytime, and if you're a founder listening to the show, you already know the cost of falling behind. Don't let your kid pay that price. Go to AInativestudent.com, apply in a couple minutes, and get your student into the cohort that changes their trajectory. AInativestudent.com and send them to the chat. It's totally free. If Instagram changed their algorithm tomorrow, how many of your followers on Instagram could you actually reach? Now ask yourself, how many people are on your email list? The gap right there is the gap between a personal brand you're borrowing and one that you actually own. The best founders in the world, the ones getting the deals, the stages, and the inbound, they have newsletters. They show up in inboxes every week. They build real relationships at scale. Inbox Alchemy makes that happen for you. They write your weekly founder newsletter, build you a stunning newsletter website, and grow your list to 25,000 engaged subscribers in 6 months, all managed end-to-end so it's generating pipeline while you focus on building your company. Algorithms are someone else's decision. Your email list is yours forever. Head to inboxalchemy.co and start building the audience no one can take away from you. I want to tell you about someone I think you should hire. Her name is Casey Taylor, and Casey is an AI partnership agent. And Casey's entire job is securing brand sponsorships for your podcast. Not handing you a spreadsheet, actually reaching out, making the pitch, and closing the deal for your show on your behalf. Chasing sponsorships for podcasters is a headache. They'd rather be recording episodes. Casey manages that completely. You brief Casey on your show, Casey goes to work, and you get back to doing the thing you're actually good at. Whether you've got 5,000 listeners or 50,000, she knows how to find the right brands for your audience and get them on board. You need Casey. Every podcaster does. Go to gethowdy.com, that's GETHOWDI.com, and meet Casey Taylor. Your new partnership agent is ready when you are. Every week I sit down and ask myself one question. What do founders actually need to know about AI right now? Not the think pieces or the stuff that sounds impressive, the real useful put it to work today stuff. Then I write it up, send it to you in your inbox free. That newsletter is called AI for Founders, and I built it because I was tired of wading through hit pieces and people that are afraid of the future. Each issue, I break down the tools worth your time, the strategies that are working, and the ways you can use AI to grow your company without burning out or getting left behind. Thousands of founders read it every week, and I'd love for you to be one of them. Subscribe for free at aiforfounders.co. 3 seconds to sign up, and I promise it's worth it.